Hello and welcome to today's dev update, where we will be tackling all the changes coming with update 9.1. So very soon, if you're watching this live during the Open, I hope you enjoyed the game so far. Exciting finals coming up next. If you're watching it on YouTube afterwards, hello YouTube, and the patch will be even closer for you. It's coming Tuesday, as we all know, and today we'll first tackle a few of the bug fixes that we're introducing with this patch. Then I've got my friend Legion joining me to go over the balance changes included in this update. And after that, we'll join Shoop and check what his shop has to offer with the upcoming update as well. Taking a look into the near future as well on that segment. And then at the end, we've got something special prepared for you. So you don't want to miss it. Stick around. And yeah, I think we'll just get right into it. We'll start with the bug fixes. It's a nice little list of things that I just wanted to highlight. They're also going to be in the patch notes, which will release tomorrow on Monday. So if you're watching this live, tomorrow patch notes are coming out. If you're watching it on Monday on YouTube, you know that the patch notes will arrive today. Maybe they've arrived already. Anyways, let's start with the first one. So the first important highlight is that Dead Man's Tongue will no longer show the deck in order. So it's going to work as it was originally intended. No more basically being a better maxi. We've also got cards that don't no longer count the base power, increasing as boosting. So cards like Direbear, Kahir, and Black Blood no longer get triggered by that. We've got Mage Assassin, which can no longer be summoned by the opponent's turn. So during the opponent's turn, if they move Mage Assassin to the top of your deck, it won't pop out. Ethereal will now properly transform demons. The next change is Cintrian Envoy, which now finally will show all the cards in the deck, not just units, as it is intended as well. Reinforced Ballista's cooldown will now correctly refresh at the beginning of the turn, not at the end. That was changed. And then two more. We've got Megascope and Dolblathana Whisperer, which will now reset their counter correctly when leaving the board. So this basically means that if Megascope enters your graveyard and then you, I don't know, play it again by shuffling it back, for example, then the counter will be reset correctly. And finally, we've got a fix to our shader issue that we had in the last patch, which will fix the visuals of Adrenaline and Shield as well. So that should be fixed for the upcoming update. Looking forward to seeing that in action. And yeah, speaking of action, let's get Legion in here and I welcome him onto the show, and then we'll go through all the balance changes that you are hopefully excited to hear about. And now, hello and welcome Legion. How are you doing, my man?
Hello, Ryan. Doing pretty good. We are currently finalizing drop 2 of Price of Power, so it's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to. I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Ooh, it's right around the corner, right? We've got one more patch in between, which is the patch we're going to talk about right now as well. But after that, sweet things on the horizon. Okay, I think we'll just jump right into it. We'll go over a few highlights of the balance patch, and then we'll also show the rest of the changes, so you've got all the info. But beforehand, obviously, this is a patch between two huge content drops, so it's aimed at adjusting a few cards. At least that's what I got the impression from you as a design team.
Yeah, and we are adjusting some of the new cards, as well as we have plenty of buffs to the old cards. Actually, we are slowly but surely adjusting the old cards to the modern power level, let's say, to the power level we expect from cards nowadays.
Awesome. All right, I think we'll start right away with the mighty monsters. And the first change we want to talk about is a White Frost, because it gets an additional effect.
Yeah, so since in 9.1, whenever you play Wild Hunt unit, it will get boosted by 1 if there's Frost in the opposite row, assuming that you play the White Frost Leader ability. So we are doing that because, you might remember we added Ancient Foglets as support for the Weather Monsters archetype. It didn't quite make the archetype very, very strong, but we don't want to give up on it. And we felt like this leader can use a nice little tweak, some encouragement for playing the Wild Hunt cards. What is worth noting here is, for example, cards like Naglfar's Crew. Due to how game logic works, Naglfar's Crew will get boosted by 1 immediately when it drops, even though it will be the source of the frost in the first place, right? Because the deploy will resolve the resolve first, the frost will get spawned, Naglfar's Crew will also get boosted. So yeah, enjoy your boosted Wild Hunt units.
Nice. I think that's a cool idea. It reminds me a bit of the free harmony tag you get with the Squirtel leader, which allows the trends to pop out more easily, and I think this will allow you to gain your dominance a bit easier as well, so that's cool. All right, speaking of dominating monster cards, let's take a look at Witch Apprentice right here.
Yeah, the most intimidating pick ever. So Witch Apprentice, of course, very strong card, very high potential, very high point ceiling. We want this card to have a weakness. The weakness is supposed to be the short round of the card, and the fact that you kinda need to play a bunch of other cards from your hand before you can commit this card safely without it getting killed. But when it costed 4 provisions, those downsides didn't really matter all that much, because it's just, a 4 provision card. It never hurts that much if it gets answered, and if it doesn't, it goes really high. So we wanted the risk to be slightly higher. So now the card is more costly, and the rest of your deck will have to be slightly weaker if you want to include Witch Apprentice.
Yeah, all right, that's cool. I guess for bronze cards, changing a provision often means changing 2 provisions, because you mostly include 2 of them.
Exactly.
And I think it's still going to be a wide, big, happy pig if it gets that Sabbath condition. And reminder for all the new viewers, Sabbath means that you need 25 points on 1 row, and then this effect will trigger. So pretty cool. All right, just for the rest of you now, we've got the rest of the monster changes. As you can see, there's a decent amount of provision changes and power changes as well, just increasing the power level or decreasing the provisions needed to play those cards.
Yeah, exactly. As I said, we are also adjusting some of the old cards to the power level we expect from the cards nowadays.
Yeah. All right. Now on to the Northern Realms, the Northern Kingdoms. We've got our first little nerf, which is actually Pincer Maneuver. You will get 1 less provision in your deck if you play this leader.
Yeah, exactly. So when we changed Pincer Maneuver to have 2 charges, we expected it to be strong, but we didn't want to discourage players from trying it out. So at first we didn't want to nerf the provisions, but I think right now it's pretty clear that the leader ability is strong. It fits into many Northern Realms decks. So we don't think there's the need to have this extra encouragement for 16 provision bonus, so it gets lowered to 15.
All
That's
right.
pretty much it.
Yeah, I think pretty simple, pretty straightforward. This one is a bit more complex because we've got 2 changes. We've got a nerf regarding to the power, the points, the strength. Reinforced Ballista now only has 3 power, but it gets an additional armor. So now it's a bit more protected from those weak shots from the opponent.
Yeah, it's the idea here is that we want to keep it within the same removal reach. So it still dies from 4 damage if it gets played in melee row. It dies from 5 damage if it gets played in the back row. But the idea here is that Reinforced Ballista is a very powerful engine. It can really help to remove threats played by the opponent. Sometimes pings twice in a round, like fairly easy if you just have maybe the siege trigger, maybe some other warfare. So we think that while this engine is so powerful, we are fine with it being powerful, but we would like it to be a bit weaker in terms of tempo. That's why we removed this 1 point, but gave the extra armor so it doesn't get removed more easy, because that's not necessarily our goal. Of course, you have to beware of maybe some sneaky seizing effects when you play this in melee row, so maybe against Nilfgaard. The back row will be more let's say maybe more tempting to place your ballista on, so you don't get amnesty, maybe swears if somebody plays swears. So yeah, in general, we want this engine to still be strong, but we don't want it to have the tempo that it had before.
Awesome. In addition to that, we've got a few more changes. I think one thing to highlight is that War Chariot now has a cooldown, which obviously means it's not going to have a deployability, but rather an order with zeal. So basically allows the card to do the same thing as it does right now, with the addition of having a cooldown, so you can potentially do it again.
Yeah.
I think.
And yeah, there's a bunch of other tweaks to old cards.
Yeah.
As mentioned before.
All right, so I think that's it for Northern Realms. Let's take a look at the opposing side of this huge battle, which should be Nilfgaard, obviously.
Yeah, and Imprisonment. So this is very similar story as with Pincer Maneuver. At this point, I think it also became clear that Imprisonment is powerful ability. It fits into most Nilfgaard decks. And this additional encouragement of 16 provisions isn't required. It's pretty much the same story as with Pincer. So we are lowering the provision bonus to 15. And worth noting that we will come back to this topic when you show the other changes, Ryan, but we also changed the provision bonus of Double Cross. Not because Double Cross had some outstanding performance in the recent patch, but because we want to avoid situation in which the deck that is played currently with Imprisonment just switches to Double Cross, and at the same time we also want to get rid of leaders that give 17 provision bonus. You probably noticed this in the past. We were lowering those provision bonuses to 16, and this is also what we did for Double Cross. So those would be the 2 nerfs to those leaders.
Awesome. Now, speaking of nerfs, I think the next change is definitely one that I guess most people will be very happy with. It's a small tweak to 2 cards specifically that play the same archetype. And let's start with Viper Witcher, which gets an additional line that reads, if it's not a token, spawn a base copy of that unit at the top of opponent's deck. And the important part to highlight here is the start of that sentence, which says, if it's not a token. So basically, all you Clogger fans out there, you won't be able to target tokens anymore because they won't, or at least you can still target them, you can still give bleeding to them, but they won't spawn on the top of the deck.
Yeah, it's worth noting also, I just noticed there's no adrenaline condition here on this graphic, but the adrenaline condition is still there. It's still adrenaline 6 as it was before, and the only change here is that you will not be able to shuffle tokens to opponent's deck. So if you play against Clog, you have some more ways of playing around the clogging cards. Basically, you can open with tokens. You can only play the bronze cards that you don't mind getting shuffled into your deck, right? Because opponent won't be able to just target the token and give you a very, very bad card you never want to play. So yeah, at least now if you get a so-called bad card, it will be a bad card that you put in the deck yourself, right? So it will have some use.
Exactly, and I mean, I guess that really helps Gertel as well. You can play your special cards and spawn those Trents or Treants on the row, and build an army of trees that the opponent can't really interact with, which it's kind of nice. All right, one more Nilfgaard change that we want to highlight this patch is Blightmaker, because Blightmaker is getting a provisional change. It now costs 6 provision to include on your deck.
Exactly, yeah. So obviously Blightmaker and Mage Assassin combo is very, very powerful. Perhaps the most powerful bronze combo in the game. And our intention for the combo is that we do want it to be very strong, but we want it to be strong in decks that benefit a lot from hyper-thinning strategies. So we don't really want it to become a staple in decks like Masquerade Ball deck, right? Just used for thinning. Nobody cares that your Joachim the Vet can be bricked by Mage Assassin. You just play it anyway because it's so worth it. So what we did here is we nerfed its provision because it allows us to do one thing. It allows us to nerf Blightmaker in decks like Masquerade Ball without nerfing it too much in decks like Hyperfin, because in compensation for the Blightmaker nerf, we can give some provision buffs to cards that are played exclusively in the Hyperfin decks. You will see this in a moment when we show the graphic with other changes. So, for example, here you can see that Athon, for example, got the provisions changed. When we go to neutral, you will see that we also buffed DNF for Divination or Tris Marigold. So those are, kind of Hyperfin exclusive cards. So those decks, if you played those cards in your deck, you won't even feel the Blightmaker nerf. However, if you played Masquerade Ball, you will have to rethink if you still want the Blightmaker, because it just became more costly by, as you said, Ryan, before, 2 provisions, because it's a bronze card. So 2 of your provisions will have to be adjusted somehow if you want to keep playing the card.
Yep, and there it is, the rest of the changes right there for you as well. We've got cards like Albrick, Mage Torturer. I got confused by the tortoise. The tortoise.
Tortoise is buffed too, so yeah.
Yeah, as well. So lots of new cards that you can maybe include in your decks, maybe you can play around with. Also, another thing to add, we've got the Guardian, which changes its tier from gold to bronze, which I like, especially because I remember one game very fondly where my opponent clogged me with putting a Guardian on top of my deck, and I thought, I'm smart, I'm going to use Dead Man's Tongue because I can banish 2 bronze cards out of my deck. And then I clicked on the Guardian first, and then I realized I don't have the second proc because I just banished a gold card, which is worth basically 0 points. I think either it was 0 or 3, but yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a very good counterplay in the end, right? So
yes.
It was a bait, you could say. It was a little bit of an oversight on our side, because the Guardian previously was only spawned by Cynthia, who is a gold card, so the token was also gold. But now, when it's spawned by Blightmaker, we decided that there's no point for the token to be a gold card. Fair warning to Hyperfin players here. My fellow Hyperfin players, be careful, because sometimes what people would do is they would play Yennefer's Invocation on King Foltest, and as we know, King Foltest, if he boosts bronze units, he will shuffle more cards into your deck, and this is something you very much want to avoid when you play Hyperfin, right? You don't want more cards in your deck. So what I did, and probably many people did too, is I would place it next to the Guardian, because then it boosts the Guardian, right? So it doesn't shuffle it. Mm-hmm. But now if you do that, you will actually get plenty of Guardians in your deck. So yeah, don't do that. Just a warning.
An army of Guardians, I like it.
Yeah, so you can clog yourself if you miss clogging your deck with tokens.
Okay, speaking of tokens, I hope you're as excited as I am for the premium tokens coming up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sadly, with working from home, you don't get to spy on the art hits like right across the room, but I did get to see a few of the examples that they're working on, and yeah, I'm really happy that we're managing to finally bring those into the game as well.
Yeah, looking forward to it, especially for decks like Deadeye Ambush, right? When you have a lot of tokens on board.
Oh, yes. And the trends. Oh, the little tree armies. I just love them. So wholesome. Okay. Speaking of something that is not very wholesome, we've got pirates. We've got the Pirates Cove coming up. The first change for Syndicate that we want to highlight is another provisional change.
Yes, so you will see that Pirates Cove and Jackpot, both leader abilities, get their provision bonus lowered. Again, pretty similar to Pincer, to Imprisonment. When we changed those leader abilities, we didn't want to discourage players from trying them out. But at this point, it's pretty clear that they are good. The Jackpot buff was very beneficial to Syndicate. The Pirates Cove buff was very beneficial. So we want to lower the provision bonus of both of these abilities, because it's clear that both of them are very strong right now. So yeah, you will have to readjust your deck if you play those leader abilities.
All right. The next change is Horus Jr, which loses a point, so basically weakens the tempo. that you can gain with this card? Is that the intention?
Yeah. It does two things here. So first of all, as you said, Ryan, it weakens the tempo of a very strong removal card, right? So it won't trade that much. It won't trade that well with threats that it will answer. But it also does another thing, which is, for example, when you play Swarm against Syndicate, it really sucks to know that you can't drop your Elven Deadeyes or drones on board because they will just get removed by Horson's free ability.
Mm.
And what it does is, with 4 power, it will be easier to remove Junior from the board. So it will be easier to maybe prepare the board for your swarming cards to come. So this is the idea: lower tempo and is easier to remove. So the swarming strategist cannot be so intimidated by the Junior himself.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially for, especially as you said, Monster Swarm, where the Arcus Swarm decks often runs this 4, what's it called, the 4-point removal that spawns a drone if you get excessive damage.
Yeah, natural selection.
Yeah, natural selection now answers this very nicely.
Yeah, it's the same for Deadeye Ambush, right? Like the Junior's fee is very strong against Elven Deadeyes, so they will also appreciate being able to kill maybe with, like, I don't know, making a bomb or some other removal for damage.
Yeah, lots of new ways to eliminate this piece of, I'd say, a very unfriendly person. Anyways, we've got a few more changes coming up for Syndicate. We've got Smuggle getting a provisional change, and actually a few cards here gaining a point of power or losing a provision, so you can fit them nicely into your deck.
Yeah, I would like to give a shout out to one person who caught me on I think it was Mercer's stream, and they said it would be very nice if Smuggle costed 4 provisions, right? And at that point I knew that it will be 4 provisions because the patch was already prepared. So, and I was only thinking, if only you knew, right? So yeah, this is it. Smuggle is cheaper, as well as some other cards that aren't really great for Syndicate, but maybe we'll see some more interest from the players.
Awesome. Now, we've got 2 factions left, but we agreed earlier that there are no major changes that we want to highlight for those factions. I'm still going to throw the changes up on screen. We've got Skellige, first of all, which Rage of the Sea actually gets a nice provision bonus. So you get 1 more provision you can enter into your deck, and a few other changes as well. I want to highlight the Morkvark, the normal Morkvark, now getting the Pirate category as well.
Yeah, so what you can do, for example, is if you play Kraken Crate and opponent's lowest unit is a 5, you can get a very nice duel where Morkvark will come back for free, basically, right? So that's maybe an additional. It's quite, maybe it requires plenty of setup. It requires really good board setup, but it's another use for Morkvark. And yeah, so you will see that there's those buffs coming from Skellige. I know some people might expect more. I think we can go to Scoia'tael, if you don't mind, Ryan. So because I would like to talk about those factions, both of those factions at once. I know some people expected more because Skellige and Scoia'tael currently are perceived as the 2 of the weaker factions. Statistically, they are a bit behind, but not by that much. But still, I'm not going to argue that the other factions are probably stronger. But the point I'm trying to make here is that while the factions probably could be buffed, we don't want to overreact yet because there's a new expansion coming soon, and we have plenty of reasons to believe that this expansion will turn the tide. And so we will have to see. We have to get used to the idea that the meta will be reshaped basically every 2 months quite rapidly because of new cards. So if you want Scoia'tael on top again, be patient. Maybe the next drop will bring some more glory to the Scoia'tael or Skellige.
How the turntables.
Yeah. But for now, enjoy those little buffs that we've made here. I think those cards deserved it. Again, they were a little bit old in their evaluation.
I'm happy for my half-elf hunters. In general, I think we'll see new cards added after a month after this patch as well. So as you said, lots of new tools coming, and I think some people might actually be happy that Skellige for once isn't a tier 1 or tier 0 faction. But I still enjoy playing them, especially. Actually, I got a lot of success with Squirtle this patch, so maybe it's not that
me too,
high end, but I really enjoy playing it. All right, enough rambling about these two factions. Now, we've got the most important change of this whole patch, the I think highlight of your designer career so far. We've got a change to Blightmaker.
I need to add this to my LinkedIn.
Yeah,
most definitely do it. Yeah. So as many of you noticed, Blightmaker in his or Blightmaker, I'm clueless about how to pronounce it, so sorry about that.
Me too.
So as most of you, or maybe some of you noticed, the fluff text clearly implies that he's a druid, but he didn't have the druid tag. So enough teasing. The druid tag is here. So if you want him to trigger your Gedinev, go ahead.
I'm just gonna highlight it a bit more so everyone knows what we're talking about. It is the little druid tag right there in green. It is finally in the game, which means that the game is playable once again. Yeah.
I thought you were zooming for the siren's forehead, and I was confused for a second.
Nope. And here's the rest of the neutral changes. Also highlighting now Elderbear.
Yeah, Elderbear.
You gotta recoin the term Elderbear now to cards being a 6/4, I guess.
We actually caught ourselves a few times asking if a card we are thinking about would be played over Elderbear. This was a pretty refreshing experience.
Interesting.
So we will see plenty of again changes to the old cards yet. Probably plenty of people will ask about Wolfpack and Peasant Militia. Their time will come. We have some ideas for them, so don't worry, they are not left out. They're not forgotten. But for now, Elderbear just got the provision buff, and as you can see, Yennefer and Triss Merigold, right? Those are the buffs I mentioned when I talked about Blightmaker. So if you played those two cards in your deck, and you played Blightmakers, the buffs and nerfs basically even out, right? It won't affect your deck at all.
And also very important to highlight, Mahakam Ale is now 1 provision cheaper. So I'm always happy if the ale prices go down, and you can save a coin. You can save a coin on that. All right. Yeah. I think that's all the changes that we wanted to highlight, or we wanted to go over in this patch specifically. Personally, obviously, very excited for the next update after that on the horizon, but I think this one will freshen up the game, allow a few new cards to enter decks and swap things around. So looking forward to that specifically. So thank you so much for enlightening us.
Thanks Ryan for inviting me, and I guess see you when the new cards come, right? And good luck to the participants of the tournament.
Oh yes, we've got another finals coming up, but before that, let's take a look at a few fresh products, and there's one final highlight at the end of this. You don't want to miss it, so see you there.
Yeah, don't miss it.
All right, thank you very much, Malegion, and you will now be replaced by another friendly character. We've got Shoop on board. Hello, and welcome, Shoop. We're going to take a look what Shoop has to offer coming with the next patch on Tuesday. First of all, one thing that Ola definitely wanted to highlight. Ola is our very friendly product owner that takes care of deciding what enters the shop and what leaves, and I think she brought some really awesome stuff with her for this patch. So first of all, we're bringing back the Lyria bundle and the Spring Shoop bundle. Those will be available on Tuesday as well. Look, Shoop, it's you. Yeah. It's you. You can actually buy yourself in your shop now. Yeah, very cute as well. And the board is awesome. The board is very much recommended. Next, we've got 2 skins coming back. We've got Anna and Radovid. both getting another skin from the past available. And as much as I like that Anna Henrietta skin, I mean, come on, it's Radovid Afrika. It is Zerrikanian Radovid, and I think there's very few skins that can beat that. So yeah, if you don't have it yet, it will be available starting Tuesday. Taking a look at some esports products, this is the Great Oak board. It will join the Great Oak bundle as products that contribute to the World Masters prize pool. So if you buy this, you will be contributing to the prize pool of the Season 3 World Masters, which will happen in December this year, December 2021. And yeah, it's a nice board to go along with your card back. It's got some nice visuals. I won't spoil anything that's happening on the board, but you can see a little preview here, and then on Tuesday you can see the full board in action. Looking into the future, so this next product won't actually be available with 9.1, but we wanted to highlight it here anyways because it is part of the esports cycle, and it is the summer pack that will be available with 9.2, so actually the same time that the next expansion part drops. And this includes a coin, the summer coin, that correlates the next Open theme, Open number 3, which will have a summer theme and a little bit of Metroid powder on top. So that's very nice. Now, I think that's enough of this. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you, Shub, for enlightening what Ola brought to your shop. There's one more thing though that we want to show you, or at least talk about a little bit, and we have something very nice prepared. We've got something very nice prepared for everyone that plays Gwent out there, and it is connected to the upcoming WitcherCon. WitcherCon starts next Friday, so don't miss it. It's right around the corner, right behind this next patch. And I won't spoil anything major yet in the game. I was itching to speak about it, but Vlad said nope, and Borja told me nope, no major leaks yet. But I managed to get something for you, because starting Tuesday, so with the patch 9.1, there will be a new card, a brand new card that we haven't talked about yet, joining the game. And it is a little bit of a different distribution than usual. So you won't be able to craft the card on Tuesday. You will actually be able to craft the card the Tuesday afterwards. So 1 week after its release, you will be able to craft it. And that is because we want to save your resources for you. So because Friday on WitcherCon, starting with WitcherCon, you will be able to get this card completely for free, no extra costs. So before anybody that misses this announcement sees the new card and crafts it immediately, and then sees on Friday, hey, I can get this for free, why didn't you tell me? We actually disabled crafting until after the event ends. So next Tuesday, once WitcherCon is over and this whole claiming this card is in the past, you will be able to normally craft it. And also, yes, it is already in the kegs, because if you get it by chance, you can already play it. But yeah, on Friday, everyone will be able to get it for free. And I think it's time to take a look at this brand new card. I think some people might actually recognize the art, and it is called Sunset Wanderers. It is a Witcher card, 11 provision, 1 point only. Okay, so the effect has to be good. And the effect actually is a long wall of text. So let me read that out for you. This card starts in the leftmost position of your hand. At the beginning of your turn, while in hand, move self 1 position to the right and then boost self by 1. At the end of your turn, if you haven't passed and there are no cards to the right of this card, summon self from your hand to a random allied row and then draw a card. So, just to sum it up nicely, it will always, when you draw it, start in the left of your hand. So, all the other cards will be to the right side of this. If you get it in round 1, that will mean it will be on the far side, the far left side of your hand, and you will have 9 other cards on the right of it. And then every time your turn starts, it will move 1 position to the right and boost itself. So if it moves 9 cards to the right before jumping out, it will get boosted 9 times, and then you will play an extra 10 points for free. Because when it jumps out of your hand, you will draw another card. So you don't lose that card advantage, you just gain some juicy extra points. And what I really like is you can manipulate when it comes out, right? You can play cards on the left of it, so it takes longer for it to jump out, which means it will also be more points. Or you can play cards on the right of it, which obviously has the opposite effect. It will go quicker, it will have less points, but maybe surprise your opponent when it comes out. And very interesting game mechanic to play around with. And obviously the card art is the same as our key visual for our first Geralt journey. You can see Geralt and Dandelion there on the horse. I guess it's just Geralt on the horse and Dandelion is walking past singing a song. Yeah, very, very pretty, and I'm excited. Joining the game on Tuesday, so again, to recap, you will be able to get it completely for free during WitcherCon. So the upcoming weekend, this card will be yours for free. And after that, the Tuesday after that, you will be able to craft it completely normal as any other card. So that is Tuesday the 13th. Until then, I'd say this concludes our update for today. No more patch information. That is it. That is all the juicy info we've got for you. I hope you're excited for the upcoming update, and especially for WitcherCon. I'm going to be watching. And yeah, lots of stuff coming up. But now, at least if you're watching this live on Twitch right now, it is time for the finals. So without further ado, I'm going to throw it back to the casters, and hope you enjoy the upcoming game, and obviously good luck to both finalists. And if you're watching it on YouTube, I hope you enjoyed the Open. You can maybe watch the Open recap if you haven't watched it yet. Other than that, patch is coming tomorrow on Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.